It's always been my view that essentially the parents who bring children into the world are the ones who are responsible for taking care of them. Jamila, Rizvi, social commentator and author, joins us right now live in the studio. Jamila, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you use childcare?
I sure do.
Do you use publicly funded childcare?
Well, my son's in a private long day care centre, so we get the government subsidy, the childcare rebate that every family is entitled to.
Do you think the federal government should spend more money on childcare?
I think they should spend a whole lot more money on
Why?
childcare. I think when we think about childcare, we tend to take a really old-fashioned view, and I think you took it just then.
Right.
Which is that we assume
the parents should take care of their children?
No, we assume childcare is babysitting. That it's the same as babysitting. That it's the same as having the teenage kid down the street come over and look after your kid for the day.
I don't think I think that. I just think though that you've got to make a lot of sacrifices when you have a child, and maybe having to juggle work and taking care of your children is one of them.
Yeah, and I think we do, but we fund school education from age 5 right to through to age 18. What's the difference between school education and early childhood education?
Well, because I know that childcare people try to say, oh, we're the same as school teachers.
Yeah.
But see, I don't think everybody thinks that way. I mean, taking care of a 6-month-old baby is not like school. It is changing nappies and putting them in a cot and that sort of thing. It's not the same as teaching them how to read and write and do whatever other things they do at school these days.
It is really different. I get that the jobs are different, but you're talking about early childhood teachers who are trained in the same way. Most early childhood teachers now have a degree. They graduate with a HECS debt of the same amount. They're just paid $21 an hour instead of a teacher's salary.
But don't you think that it's best for at least one of the parents to be doing this? I mean, because, really, that's how the bond between children and their mothers and fathers is created.
Yeah, absolutely. But we live in an economy now where the average family is in a position where they need 2 incomes to be able to get by.
But is that chicken and egg? That's what I wonder. I wonder because more women have sort of forced their way into the workforce that it's become the norm that, you have 2 incomes in a typical household.
Yeah, those outrageous women forcing their way into the workforce. They should have just stayed at home.
But so you think that the federal government should subsidise childcare to a much greater degree? So women can work presumably?
Yeah, for 2 reasons. One, to improve women's workforce participation. Australia, compared to the rest of the OECD, really falls down on women's workforce participation. We're not very good at it. Women make up 76% of the Australian part-time workforce. They work less than men, and the single greatest reason is that they can't afford to work more because childcare is so expensive because the rebate cuts out after a couple of days. So women's participation in the workforce is one, and that's a huge contributor to the economy, mind you. And the other one is about early childhood education and recognising that those early years and schooling in those early years, some form of education in those early years can make an absolutely massive difference.
But I think there's 2 issues there. One is if you say that kids under the age of 5 need to be educated, well, maybe. I mean, kindergarten, yes.
Well, maybe, because the early childhood experts show that 90% of a human's brain development happens between 0 and 5.
Okay, but I mean...
You don't want some professionalism inserted into there?
Well, I didn't go to kinder till I was 4.
Yeah, think how much smarter we might have been.
Well, it'd be wasted on me. But okay, the thing is, though, it's not compulsory to have children. All right,
No.
and these days, thanks to the modern miracle of contraception, you pretty much can choose whether or not to have a child. So surely if you choose to have a child, then really what you're choosing, for at least for a couple of years, for the first couple of years of the child's life, is the option is you will either be taking care of the child, mum or dad or both, or you will be paying someone else to do it.
Yeah, I think that's the choice right now. I just think we should be reframing that choice because I think early childhood education is a public good. I think it's a way to lift people out of poverty.
What about for single people who don't have children, never intend to have them? They're effectively paying the taxes to subsidise for other people's childcare.
Because we live in a democracy where we pay taxes that support choices that other people make that we don't necessarily.
All right,